So for that reason, it's just not even remotely productive to consistently shit on other more, I guess, like more radical elements within the left. Who cares? You shit on anarchists a lot, though? Yeah, but I still love anarchists. I still talk about how important anarchists are and how they're at the forefront of protests. And there are a shit ton of anarchists in this community as well. Okay. Whatever.
There is a civil war brewing.
They had a 24-hour 1-2 in LA. Yeah, anti-Trump protesters marching in downtown LA as a part of nationwide rage against the regime rallies. No, but that's like August 2nd, you know? And it hasn't had like the same amount. There's a couple different things that I feel like are not, I guess, like not meeting the standard of newsworthiness that it once did. Massive protests against ICE is one of those things, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why massive protests, mass mobilization against ICE is not reaching the standard of newsworthiness that it once did. Okay. And it's odd. The other thing that's odd is like, apparently there was a dude who fought in the IDF, an American who went to serve in the IDF to do war crimes. And like someone torched his car, and it was in the news briefly, but like no mass condemnations, no like classic, this is anti-Semitism, all this stuff that normally would have happened. And I think part of that is because I'm beginning to think that the reason why they don't want to talk about it is because they don't want to create copycats. Like they realize that when they talked about it at first, with like a couple of the incidents, I assume that they thought that they could get like Israel could get like good coverage out of this, you know, garner sympathy out of this or something. But the torch car was one of the things Cuomo was bitching to AOC about. Yeah. But then instead of like the condemnations, like the round of condemnations, they heard cheers only. So I suspect that they're not doing it anymore. They're not really covering it anymore. CBS was at the rage against the R protest and wasn't trying to show the true scale of what's happening. ABC7 was following us too, but they kept focusing on the tent. Do you see the ICE Speedway Slammer post that used an AI image of Pato O'Ward, who was Mexican IndyCar driving with ICE branding? No, I did not. This is from yesterday. It's not always like this, but it's always populated. I was wondering if you'd cover it live. I didn't even know. Dog earning her keep by farming engagement. Good girl. Yeah, that's why she got up real quick. New Matt Bernstein interview with the trans Israeli girl who refused service in the IDF and was imprisoned. That's 55 minutes. We're probably not going to look at that. Yeah, I've been there a couple times. PSL had a national week of action and people had been there all week. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's a bunch of stuff that's like also constantly unfolding, but it causes people, to assume that like nothing is going on when things are going on, you know? That's why liberals will always be like, oh, where are the protests against Hasan only goes to DSA stuff? That's not true. What the fuck are you talking about? All the major protests that were put together by PSL. Like the ones where I got shot at were PSL protests. Anyway, what I'm saying is like this is part of the reason why people go, why is the left not protesting against Trump now that Trump is in office? And it's like, first of all, you're not protesting. Okay, you're really not. You're spending all of the time that you have instead of like shitting on Trump. You're the one who's like shitting on the left still, who is basically the backbone of any kind of resistance against the Republican administration at this point. You know, which is so stupid. It's just, and the only reason why you're bringing up the left is to launder your immoral perspectives on this. Like, is to basically say, well, I don't want to do anything, and here's why. Okay, there were raids yesterday again at Home Depot with ICE coming out of the Penske truck. Yeah, I saw that. For all the things going on, liberals can still only point at the left. They have smoke for the left. No, but that's not. For the record, those are not the what do you call it? Those are not the broader movement. You know what I mean? That's not like those people are just like online. They're the extremely online version. You know how like the hammer sickle Twitter will be like, sometimes they'll say like Zoran is not sufficiently anti-Zionist, like he's actually an op or something, right? Like that's the liberal version of that. The liberal version of like an extremely online person is the person who's just like, the left is actually responsible for Kamala Harris's defeat and we will never forgive them. And that's why I became a right winger. Like those people do not represent like a broad movement. Okay. They don't. They're just chirping. They're just chirping to the wind. Okay. That's it. Those like the average liberal, in my opinion, the average like liberal wine mom looks at the events that are unfolding and is not thinking about how this is the left's fault. They're looking at the events that are unfolding and thinking, this is horrifying. Okay? This is horrifying. We must put a stop to this. Why are the Democrats not doing anything? Okay? That is the average liberal's perspective here. Why does Hasan always suck Zorhan's dick? Like, this is what I mean when I say, like, people are being extremely online, obtuse, and out of their minds. That's what I'm talking about. This is Zorhan. What do you think about Trump firing 5 members of the federal board overseeing Puerto Rico, and what consequences will that have on the Puerto Rican population? Dude, I have no idea. Did you see Dean Kane's ad for ICE? Yeah, I don't even care about that. Who gives a... Can you talk more about commie Twitter disparaging Zoran at every moment over perceived capitulation? No. Do you want to know why I don't talk about that? Do you want to know why I don't talk about that? Because I don't care, and neither should you. Okay? These are some of the most avoidable people. Okay? These are some of the most, like, who gives a people. They are even less relevant than annoying liberals are, because at least liberals have institutional power and they have their voices heard on mainstream outlets. No one, and I mean this with all sincerity, no one is listening to a Hammer Sickle Twitter account, okay? No one. So spending any moment like yelling at a Hammer and Sickle Twitter account that is otherwise aligned with my worldview is the most unproductive thing I could possibly do. That's it. That's why I don't do it. That's why I don't like left bash in general. It's so dumb. There is no power on the left. There is no institutional representation for the left. Okay? The most leftist position that you will ever encounter in American politics is going to be a liberal still, is going to be, even if it's a socialist, is going to be a person that is advocating for social democratic change. Okay? Modest social democratic reform. So for that reason, it's just not even remotely productive to consistently shit on other more, I guess, like more radical elements within the left. Who cares? You shit on anarchists a lot, though? Yeah, but I still love anarchists. I still talk about how important anarchists are and how they're at the forefront of protests. And there are a shit ton of anarchists in this community as well. Okay? What do you mean? Anyway, these purity tests remind me of the punk scene 30 years ago. Everyone's a poser. No one is pure enough. I mean, this doesn't matter. I think it's important to just like avoid all of that stuff and just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. Okay? Just unite on the causes. It does not matter. Try to make some change. Okay? That's it.